Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenyan Revolutionary for another quick session, another second video for the day. It's nice outside, so I had to just be outside and enjoy the weather. It's warm, taking a break from the cold weather. So I had to drop another video, just another live for a discussion that's worth having, which is the topic of the day 2027 elections in Kenya, general elections in Kenya, will be messy. I repeat, the topic, the discussion today is Kenyan 2027 elections will be messy. Now, what do I mean by it being messy? We shall delve into it. But first, we should get the new out of the way. If this is your first time in this channel, my name is Kenyan Revolutionary. I talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of content, you are more than free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share, subscribe, and make sure that the notification bell is on. So whenever I come in, you can always find me here. And if you've already subscribed, you know the first order of business. Must I remind you? Need I remind you? Hit that like button and also make sure that your notification bell is on. I'm again. Let's delve to what I'm talking about today. Now, the main news for this past week or month, whatever the case is that, we still hear the noise from the ODM faction of Azimio, which I think by now we can pretty much say that ODM is not part of Azimio because they are more aligned to the UDA, which is the ruling party, okay? Now, the ODM party itself, they are going through their own growing pains. I told you in this channel, I know you've been listening to other people telling you this and that and that and the third. What I will tell you about the ODM party is simply not real difference as far as their position as to whether they want to work with the government in place, the administration in place, or going against them, or whether the 10-point agenda is realized or not, followed or not. That's not why they're fighting. The fight in ODM is simply a choreographed drama to maintain, for the Odinga family to maintain power within ODM party. That's nothing more than what that is. It's not about Sifuna, Babu Wino, Winnie versus Yoburu. That's baloney, okay? That's just drama to mar the actually to fog the real reason why this fake division within ODM is taking place. And of course, the useful idiots within it, the Sifunas and the Okangos and the Babu winners, they're caught in between. Some of them know the play, some of them do not. Okay? Like the Johos and the Paranyas and the Opio and I, they have a reason to argue their position because to them, the bodies, they have a reason to try to maintain that broad-based government with the president because they feel they have everything to gain from it and everything to lose if they were to divorce from the UDA, Ruto's coalition party, okay? Now, the big news that I want to get to, before I get to that, we've already established that the whole wrangles within ODM is all about the Odinga family maintaining a grip on the ODM party. Because remember, you have to remember this. If Oburu really is not considered the head of the party leader, then that can drastically have the ODM move away from the Odinga family. They will have no say in it. In fact, they might be marginalized and sidelined and even removed from the party, okay? Because they'll be irrelevant. That will be the death of the Odingas if they are not to have any sort of control of the ODM party. But they want to remain relevant, okay? They have the money that Raila Odinga helped negotiate through his handshakes, and they want to maintain that name, their legacy. So that's why they first quickly ran into having Oburu as the party leader, and then have the minions, Lewangas, to kind of try to justify why they need to stick with Ruto. And then you have the, Winnie, who is playing the fake opposition. Oh, no, no, no. Baba wanted us to leave. We should leave. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's not the subject of where I want to concentrate this discussion on. I want to talk about the overall reasons as to why 2027 will be a messy business. And I'll be try to be as brief, pithy as possible, because time is not on my side. I don't have all day, okay? But let me get to it. The biggest news, as you know, is Kalonzo seems to be the obvious choice of the opposition, the united opposition, okay? Right? And we know the muscle behind Kalonzo. It is Uhuru Kenyatta. As in my previous video, I've told you, the most powerful politician right now. The ones that moving quietly, they've been moving quietly since independence, is the Kenyatta family, okay? Those are the guys who are movers and shakers, okay? The powers behind the power, okay? They are moving it. And they've chosen Kalonzo to be the guy to run to face Ruto in 2027 elections, okay? And now they're shopping Kalonzo around to their Western masters, okay, to get support from them. They want support from Washington. They want support within the ECOWAS nations, the UK, okay, to stamp Kalonzo as to be the voice or the perfect candidate for 2027, okay? They're pushing Kalonzo to be that because, as I mentioned in my previous video, if you look at other candidates, they kind of fall short when they present themselves in front of the Kenyan people. Matiang'i is a thug in a suit, who has a lot of skeletons in his okay, in his closet. We know that he's associated with Uhuru Kenyatta, and Uhuru is unpopular as he is. Okay, Gachagua, very parochial in his political outtake. Okay, Martha Karua, a non-factor, very tribalistic, very corrupt, very useless indeed. Always siphoning money from the, non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Okay, and she can't move a needle as far as political influence is concerned. So that leaves Kalonzo, who is seen as that patient second fiddle to Raila, whose time has eventually come. Understand what I'm saying? That's why Kalonzo makes sense. Kalonzo has always been a stooge, okay, to the Western, the neo-imperialists, okay? Not only to that, but to their chaperones. When Moi was in power, remember, when Moi was in power, Moi is the one who brought Kalonzo into prominence. I think there was a time when he was a minister of foreign affairs or something like that. Then under Kibaki, he was vice president, if I'm not wrong. Okay? Then he was doing his diplomatic shuttle, whatever the case is, during 2007, 2008, brouhaha, post-election violence stuff. Okay? So Kalonzo has been around the block. And he seems to be this guy who seems to be level-headed. In reality, he's not. Kalonzo is a faker, just as corrupt as the rest of them. He just have a different personality. Trust me, when Kalonzo becomes the president, you will see the same things continue all over again. But let's ride with it. I want to tell you why the 2027 will be a messy business. Let's consider one name that we cannot avoid talking about, who still remain relatively relevant even after his death. That is Raila Odinga, okay? I want to talk about Raila Odinga and how it relates to the situation today. One thing we have to consider, I'll bring it together, don't worry about it. I know you're asking yourself, why are you talking about the dead people? We have to, okay? Raila Odinga was very pivotal in Kenyan politics. He was the most consequential politician in Kenya of the recent times, okay? Reason being, no matter who the Western imperialists picked, Raila Odinga had enough ground support to assert himself in the corridors of power. So whether it was Ruto, whether it was Kenyatta, and remember, Ruto, especially Kenyatta, let me not say Ruto, Ruto probably was voted in 2022. But the previous elections of Uhuru Kenyatta, 10-year tenure, where Ruto deputized his candidacy and afterwards being his vice president or deputy president, these guys were not voted in democratically. They never won the elections in a typical Western-backed colonial puppets of Africa. They never get voted in. They always play dirty. We know about 2007, we know 2017, 2013. Uhuru never won the elections. He was the most illegitimate president ever in Kenya. Never won it. Never. Okay? But he was backed by the British and the Americans because he's a trusted, stooge. They know that when he comes to become president, he is going to hold the fort down and make sure that the interests of the British and Americans shall be secure in safe hands. Now, the reason why Raila Odinga had to be taken out of the equation was Raila always derailed their plans in this sense. Yes, Raila was a conman, greatest political conman in Kenyan history, okay? But this is what they did not like about Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga had a lot of following. And I want to paint this picture so you can understand this. I know you already know that he already had following in Kenya. His main base, the tethered Luo Nyanza constituency, had a cultic following, love, appreciation, adoration, adulation for him. Okay? They did. Okay? So he already had that locked in. But Raila had built his political network since 1980s, early 80s, since 1982. He understood it. That's why I always give you the example, that one speech, the day that he apologized to Wetangula's little brother, Tin Wanyonyi, for stepping down for Sakaja. He explained how he did it. Him and Fred Gumo and others. Okay? This guy started early. So Raila Odinga, the reason why they had to get rid of Raila Odinga, and personally, this is my personal belief, I don't have any evidence, but I strongly believe Raila Odinga was taken out. He did not die a natural death. Now we are raising questions. Even Malala is coming up with Who Killed Amolo, whatever, documentary or drama, whatever the case is, okay? Of course, they're trying to pin it on Ruto, which might be true. Maybe Ruto was behind it. I do not know. I think Ruto and Uhuru knew about what Raila was going to face. His demise. They knew it was coming. I'm not saying they are directly responsible for it, but they knew about it. I'm pretty sure they had something to do with it, indirectly or directly. I can't prove it, but that's my suspicion. But anyway, the point is this. I believe Raila had to be taken out of the equation because Raila, whether the colonial masters would choose, whether they picked Uhuru Kenyatta or Wetangula or Ruto to be the president, Raila, given the fact that the majority of Kenyans were still fooled that he was fighting for them, he enjoyed that support, that cultic following that were ready to do anything that he said. So picture this. I want you to picture this very quickly. In 2007, leading up to the elections, it was understood. It was basically all the tribes, majority of all the tribes versus the Kikuyu tribe being represented by Kibaki. Now, the reason why I'm using tribe, because let's get real here. Kenyans vote by tribe. We are not there where we care about, integrity and ideological principles and all that stuff. No. When it comes down to it, Kenyans will vote their tribe. We are tribalistic, majority of us. Of course, some of us, we know better, but that's just the basic, that's the truth. So 2007, Raila Odinga played it like this. He had all the major leaders who are influential within their own tribal bloc to go against Kibaki. It was obvious as day and night that Kibaki lost the elections. We know the violence that happened, the protest, all that stuff. Kikuyus were being targeted in the violence. They retaliated. Okay? We all know this. This is all documented. I'm not telling you something new. But what I want you to have a mental note on was that the role Raila played in this. Raila used his influence against the state to negotiate or get whatever he wanted. You understand? Nice seeing you, Gypsy Corner. The first order of business. Okay? Raila Odinga used his influence by using all these influential tribal chieftains from all these communities who are prominent and relatively known nationwide, use them to go against the sitting government of Kibaki in order to negotiate for whatever he wanted, whether it's business deals or whatever the case is, whatever that government of national unity brought him, whether it was red carpets and working toilets and all, whatever it was. That's one. Okay? Thank you so much, Gypsy. Now, picture number 2, take 2, 2013. Same thing. I want you to note this, okay? In 2007, 2008 post-election violence, when the protests erupted, the atrocities, the Kalenjins, who are hot about the elections, who decided, some of them, not all of them, let's be fair, took violent actions against the Kikuyus in Rift Valley. They did not just protest. The Luos were protesting in Kisumu, Nairobi, whatever the case is. All right? But the Kalenjins were with what? Raila Odinga and Raila Odinga's wagon. 2013, the script change. Uhuru and Ruto came together. The Kalenjins looking at Ruto as their kingpin. So they had to jump the boat. Okay? So they were all behind TNA or whatever, Jubilee. Okay? When these guys were facing the ICC, whatever, which they were not supposed to be running because they had the active case at The Hague. But take a mental note again. Now the Kikuyus are together with Kalenjins against the rest of the tribes who are basically supporting Raila Odinga. Right? All right. 2017, same thing. Okay? Kikuyus and Kalenjins. Okay? Remember, these guys were the ones who were fighting in 2008. But that all is under the bridge since Uhuru and Ruto came together. So nobody cares about anything. Okay? Okay, I see you, Gypsy. I'll highlight your comment in a minute. Okay? So everything is done because they are tribal chieftains are together. But they were running against Raila Odinga, who had still the rest of the country, the Maasai, the Luyas, the other tribes, the coast, with him. We know Uhuru lost the 2017 elections too. We know about the Maraga decision and all that, and the handshake that came after that. 2022, the dynamics changed. Uhuru backs Raila. Raila's core supporters are already not settled with Uhuru because they're like, this is the guy who was ordering Mungiki through the police forces to gun down our supporters when we were advocating for electoral justice. Now you're with him? And Ruto plays it like, hey, dynasties versus hustler, which was genius in its own right. And my suspicion is Raila lost. Besides, there was too much against Raila Uhuru's union. Ole Kanchori came out and said that Uhuru actually did not support Raila. He was sabotaging the Ninio. If you look at the counts, how they were Ninio, it was the TNA Jubilee guys who actually made sure that Raila lost the elections. But regardless, like I said, even if Raila loses the elections, that won't matter much because Raila will always get his way. So unlike 2007, 2008 post-election violence, when the Kalenjins were in support of ODM protesting against Uhuru Kenyatta, protesting against Kibaki, who was looked at as the leader of the Kikuyus. Now in 2017, right? Oh, sorry, in 2022, it is the Kikuyus who are now aligned with Raila Odinga, who are now doing what? Opposing the regime of the day, which is led by a Kalenjin so-called kingpin in Ruto, William Ruto. You understand? So Raila has played both tribes. In 2008, 2007, he had the Kalenjin on his pocket to fight the Kikuyus. I'm not saying that he ordered the violence against them. I'm just saying that he had support of that tribe, overwhelming support. Now in 2022, Raila is said to be in bed with Uhuru, and we saw Gaucho, his lieutenant, drinking blood in Ninio with Mungikis, okay, threatening the Kalenjins, saying Ruto must go, and they almost brought him down. So Ruto had to concede and acquiesce to his demands with the NADCO and all this rubbish. And that's where we came with the NADCO, and consequently, we had this government of national unity. What I'm trying to demonstrate to you is how Raila was pivotal in all this chaos, political chaos, that he manipulated to his own advantage. He was the protagonist, the guy between, okay, the ventriloquist, who was playing up behind the scenes in order for him to get what he wanted from the situation. Okay? So listen up. So these guys, Ruto, heading to 2027, he understood that Raila will do what? Play the same play. Before the next general elections, he will back out of the handshake, claim he's running for president, lose the election or win, or whatever the case may be, or whoever wins, he doesn't give a damn. whoever wins, he's going to do his same thing. Get his supporters, get whoever wants to ride with him, cause chaos, and force you into a handshake. I told you the Gen Z movement had Raila and Uhuru hands all the way through. So now this is what is very interesting about 2027. This is what is interesting about 2027. Raila is no longer here with us. Like I say in my suspicion, I strongly believe Uhuru and Ruto knows about Raila being taken out. And that's evidenced by the what Oburu and even Win is telling us about the death of Raila Odinga. I mean, they are not lining up. The official story was Raila died in India. Oburu just a few weeks ago told us that Raila Odinga died in his home in Nairobi while he was taking a walk. Win is telling us Raila died in Nairobi. So what were they going to do in India? Why was the casket? What was that in that casket in India, or whatever the kid? What was all that about? It's all about the whole shenanigans in India. Raila's body is being brought from India to Sijui Kasarani and all that. Do you know why they did that? It was about managing a possible uprising, because there are a lot of people who believe that there was foul play, that Raila alikufa under very, very suspicious circumstances. So they were managing how they were going to break the news and how they were going to handle Raila's supporters. That is why they came up with all this plan that Raila was in India with his bodyguard, died, was brought in, it was all about managing the anger of Raila's supporters. Because listen, if they were to tell us the truth, Raila died in Nairobi, in his house, the question would be, okay, what killed him? What happened? Who was with him? Was he sick? What, you see what I'm saying? And that might lead to pointing at what actually happened. Just like Dirongo. They gave us a story at Sijui Basi, Sijui. Now, when you start asking questions, this bus, there's no passengers. No one is coming out talking about this. Who was seen last with Dirongo? Where was he heading? Was he driving by himself? Was being driven? What was that car? Then you're following it. See what I'm saying? And now people know that Dirongo actually probably was unalived. Same thing with Raila Odinga. But if there was any kind of real evidence that will raise the already suspicious, anxious supporters of Raila Odinga, that was enough to bring the country into something we do not want to see. So they had to manage the whole thing with India and all this nonsense, the rubbish that you saw, Kasarani and all that. That was the whole reason why. That's why I'm saying there's a good reason to believe that Raila was unalive. And I've told you why Raila was unalive. Raila was a hindrance to these global puppets. Raila was a global puppet too. You have to understand how these people work. They're all global puppets, but they're all fighting and jostling for positions. Okay? They're all fighting for the spoils, the loot of Kenya. That's why you see they're always fighting for positions, ministerial positions, CSS, appoint my son, appoint my... You see what I'm saying? But they're all working for the West. So Raila, when he doesn't get his fair share, what does he do? He calls on his street soldiers and cause chaos and force the government of the day to get into a handshake with himself. Okay? So that's how he plays it. So now I've shown you, basically what I've painted is how Raila manipulated his supporters into getting what he wants. But this time he's not there. So Uhuru has his candidate, who's Kalonzo. And Ruto is trying to find his feet because he has smelled defeat. So he's trying to consolidate or get some parts of Nyanza through the Wangas and then these idiots in ODM. Okay? He's trying to have his foot well established in the Western Kenya. Okay? Because like I said, Ruto will not live peacefully. Forget about that. If you think Ruto will live peacefully, I have a bridge to sell you. Okay? I see you. Tear gas was used in Kasarani. Let the cops swap the coffin. It's true. Ruto doesn't believe in friends and his loyalists when it matters. Absolutely. Yes. So here's what's going to happen. The reason why we might have a repeat of 2017, 2008. Okay? But this time, there's no this Raila figure to tell people to go to Maandamano, to organize, to bring people together to go to Maandamano, because now it's going to be divided. Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be looked at as the choice of the Mount Kenya Mafia pick. Okay? That's how Ruto is going to pose this question. Uhuru, who is the head of Mudamaki, the head of Mount Kenya, has picked Kalonzo to be the Azimio aspirant, presidential candidate. Okay? Now, that's why you see Ruto is trying to make sure that he has the ODM, these Wangas and Mbadis, and they're very tribal. These people are talking about irrelevant stuff. Every time they go to uko nyumbani, uko ushago, guess what they're talking about? Oh, historically, we Luos have never been in government. We've never seen a government with the Luos in the docket since the Kenyatta regime, since the days of Tomboya. We've been marginalized. We've been ostracized. We've been rejected. We've been tear gassed. You see, this is a plan to start brewing this Kalenjin versus the Mount Kenya. That's how it's being drawn at. I'll repeat. This is the play. Remember, these two factions are the ones who walianza vita huko Rift Valley. The Kalenjins were kicking out the Kikuyus who are living in Rift Valley. And Kikuyus decided to go to Naivasha and Nakuru and deal with the Luos who are living there. It's coming to be a repeat. So now you see, now that Uhuru Kenyatta has consolidated the Mount Kenya vote by bringing in Gachagua, and then decides that Kalonzo becomes the candidate, and then Martha Karua, another Kikuyu who's known to be very tribalistic, to be his deputy. Okay? Then on the other side, Ruto is not coming out to be a tribalist as such, but he's using the mouthpiece of Wanga and Mbadi, Opiyo Wandayi, to paint a picture of this division between Luos and Kikuyu. He's trying to demonize the Kikuyus indirectly by using the Wangas, Gladys Wanga and the rest, to do what? Spew out, oh, the injustice that the Luos have suffered in the hands of a Kikuyu-led administration. You see what I'm saying? But the real division comes from the top who is their boss, Ruto, because they are preparing for a division which will come to fruition after the elections, which is going to be a repeat of 2007, where Kalenjins and Kikuyus will be at odds. And this political difference shall take a violent turn on the ground. Leleo. So that's the play. Okay? Let me read your comments real quick. All right. Gypsy saying, tear gas was used in Kasarani. Let cops swap the coffin. It's true, Ruto doesn't believe in friends and is loyalist when it matters. Yes. Martin is here saying, you always have accurate info. How do you do it? I'm on ground. Niko na CIA kwa ground. Anyway, Shema, nice seeing you, Martin. Shamaya, I think Shamaya, that's his name, Hussein, is saying he didn't look well or happy. He couldn't even tell the people his stand. Are you talking about Ruto or I'm not sure who you're referring to. Ruto or Nani or Mzee, what was his name? Raila's brother, Oburu. Oburu is 841 years. So he doesn't look well anytime. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say, like I say, see, when Raila was alive, he would let the chaos go on as long as his demands were not met. Okay? If you promise Raila, okay, nitakupatia hii na hii na hii na hii, atasimamisha maneno. He'll say, all right, tusimamisha hii maneno. Let's now talk. Because I already got my thing. So, anaeka sister yake anakuwa sijui ambassador wapi. Mama Ida ndio amepewa kazi kwa ninio, kwa UN. Then you have relative peace. But this time, this is going to be a negotiation between two people who were at odds in 2007 pre the ICC Hague cases. Remember, Ruto and Kenyatta never walikuwa onani eye to eye. Remember that? Before the ICC and this presidential bid that they had in 2013. Okay? Yes, ODM tribal snakes, absolutely. They're tribal. They have nothing to offer. Okay? Good day, sir. Oburu is relevant and being used with the elite ODM because they are in Ruto's. Absolutely. Oburu is definitely being used by these Wakina Wanga and but they're the people who are going to wanamaliza Oburu. Wataua Oburu. Oburu is overworking. So what I'm saying is this. Ruto, the problem with Ruto and Kenyatta, Uhuru that is, they both have a huge ego. Wako na ego. And the reason why it's going to become dangerous is because of this. Kenyatta kona pesa. The Kenyatta family has money. Okay? They can always use it to influence some things. But here's the problem though. Even though they have money that they can buy influence, guess who else was money? And this money is coming out of the taxpayers. Yung pesa ya sha, yung billionaire taxpayer. Where do you think this... Okech Salah. Let's talk about Okech Salah for a minute. Where do you think Okech Salah is getting his money? Okech Salah. He says he was with Raila when Raila was sick, whatever, in Dubai, whatever the case is. Why is it all of a sudden he's hosting things in KICC and now he's talking about becoming a politician? He's handing Oga cash, words of cash. You are nini? Why? Why is this guy all of a sudden he's out here running around like he owns the place? That he's Raila's son. You see what I'm saying? Basically, what is happening is this. Ruto is known to be hard-headed. If you remember during the negotiations of the government of national unity, Ruto and Martha Karua during the negotiations had to be kicked out of the meeting because they were the most intransigent, bellicose negotiators that were around. They will not compromise on anything. It is said they almost even got into a blow. Okay? Uhuru Kenyatta, being the son of Jomo, has been raised in a silver platter all his life. He feels entitled. He never really respected Ruto. He feels like Ruto is, who are you? And Ruto feels that he has worked hard for his position. He's the president of Kenya, and he has his hands on the treasury. So if Kenyatta wants to use his cash to influence things, Ruto can always dip into the treasury, the national piggy bank, and do the same. And he has never made it a secret that he's willing to go all the way if it comes to that. I mean, these are the two individuals who are taken to the ICC. So what I'm trying to say is this. Now that these tribal drum beats are being echoed and are becoming louder by the day, and the narrative is being coined as Mount Kenya, Bantus versus Nilots, what do you think they're preparing for? This time, huyu atakuwa anatumia serikali. We are preparing ourselves for a disaster. Because like I said, the West might have chosen Kalonzo through the recommendation of Uhuru Kenyatta and the Kenyatta family, but that does not mean that Ruto will be living quietly. Okay? Exactly. Who is the hell is Okech Salah? You only know Mohammed Salah. Shamai is saying, Salah has printed ODM t-shirts with his picture of and William. Is it William or William? Yeah, who's Okech Salah? Remember Salah Okech said that he's related to, I don't know, is it Nuruddin Haji? Okay? I'm telling you. And immediately Raila Mekufa, this guy now is, listen, some people are saying, oh, Okech Salah has been known as a successful businessman. He has lived in Nyanza, wherever the hell he came from. For years, people know him. He's not a new face. If that's true, why didn't he start running for a public position when Raila was still alive? Why wasn't he giving people money and the media wasn't even showing him giving people money the way he's dishing out cash right now? Why wasn't he running his campaign with the blessing of Raila Odinga before Raila's death? Why is it that all of a sudden Raila has died, now he's running out, dishing the words of cash? And all of a sudden he's a politician. He's hosting, I don't know what in KIC. What was he hosting? Do you see this thing? I've painted a picture of you, at your view, of the political zeitgeist of Kenya. Why we are living in a very, very dangerous time leading up to 2027. It's not funny. Kenyans need to best, not better, but let's start with Kalonzo as we are looking for the best. No. No. You cannot convince me to vote for Kalonzo. I'm sorry. But you have your right to, you have your reasons to support Kalonzo. You're more than free to vote for him. I'm not stopping you. If you want to, hey, do you. Not me. So, yeah. That information is not true. Opposition hasn't settled on their presidential candidate. He's only PRs William to divide and Kisses and Lewis. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. 27 will be much worse than 27. Much worse. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. There's a potential of 2027 being worse than 2017. There's a potential, and it will be worse because, conman ukishampatia pesa ananyamaza. These guys are not going for money. Kama ni pesa wako nayo. Just imagine if there was a tribal post-election violence starts in Kenya. What do you think will make Uhuru sit down with Ruto? What will force him? The only person who can force him is actually the British government or the American government. Same thing with William Ruto, because if it's money, they have it. But Ruto understands that he got there through graft, and he has tested power. Halafu ati Uhuru huyu amezaliwa hapa kwa na maziwa lala, ati anataka kuja hapa ati anitoe kwa hii kiti. Nyinyi mnacheza na William Ruto. Ruto atachoma hii Kenya. Nyinyi mnacheza. Ndio maana nawaambia angalieni vile iko. The reason why I say to respond to Shamaya about Kalonzo. Shamaya, we were being told the same thing with Ruto. We were like, because remember the argument before 2022, we were like, they were telling us, okay, afadhali tuweke William Ruto, he's not dynasty. Let's start with him. Maybe ataleta change. He's not part of the Renio. He's not part of the Odinga family. He's not part of the Kenyatta family. Atatutumikia sisi maskini hohehai. Wapi. Yeah? That's what they were telling us. In fact, the debate was, let's vote for the lesser evil than the... Unakumbuka? Tulikuwa tunaambiwa ati, let's vote for the lesser evil than the bigger evil. That's what we were being told in 2022. And now they are telling you again, wanatuambia, let's start with Kalonzo. Kalonzo is nice. Let's just start with Kalonzo. Then we can always work our way up. My friend. Kwani umesahau Kalonzo? Kalonzo is not a blue-eyed, blonde, innocent ambaye ameingia hapa saizi. Kalonzo amekula chumvi. Hata ushaangalia ile kipara yake. Kipara kama ya Oparanya. I now believe Gachagua deposit was given out Wanga and what deposit again? Kulikuwa na deposit. I'm missing out something. Ebu munieleze hiyo deposit ni kulikuwa na deposit. Was there a deposit somewhere? I missed that. Ebu nieleze. Was there a deposit? Ati Wanga wanakula ninio. Listen. Wanga is busy eating Homa Bay. hiyo ya Ruto is just surplus. Yeah? Surplus. Salah is doing illegal business, I think. He's looking for protection from government now that Raila is gone. Yeah, I mean, but you know what? Wale watu wanafanyanga zile business za ninio in Kenya, deposit for and deposit for selling on here. Anyway, to the point of Salah. Salah does not need protection from Nani, from Ruto, because if he's involved in something illegal, he's probably connected with Ruto already. Let me explain something to you. Any illegal operation that is happening in Kenya in a large scale where billions is made, DCI, CID, NIS, the president, they know about it and they know who is involved and the politician who is behind it. Everybody. And guess what happens? Everyone gets a cut of it. A cut. A percentage yao. So that everyone remains happy. Okay? That's why wakina Joho, wakina what's this guy, the IT guy, Kafogo. That's why they're surviving. Okay? It's not like Ruto doesn't know. Ruto amejua. He's been knowing that. But hey, pay your taxes and live free. So it's not like the president of Kenya, Ruto, does not know about this. He has his intelligence. He knows probably if Salah is involved in some illegal stuff, he knows. Salah is, listen, to me, Salah, in fact, I think Salah comes from, listen, Salah is connected with the NIS. Wakina Nurdin Haji, au Somali ambao wako on the inaitwaje, intelligence ninio of Kenya, okay? He's connected to that. I think he's even part of it. Okay? So everything is well documented and known if he's involved in that kind of business. I'm saying if, because I do not know, I have no evidence. So allegedly, okay? So it's not about him wanting protection. He already has protection if that's what he's involved in. Okay? Watch what's his name? Dr. Amkeni's channel. He speaks about Joho stuff and what's happening in Mombasa in details. But publicly, Ati Joho is against Ruto. Joho doesn't see eye to eye Ruto. But Ruto knows about what is happening. Why is Joho not in jail? Just based on even what Amkeni is saying. And Amkeni is not saying allegedly. And I say, hey, I have evidence. He even went to the hearing in New York. So yeah. So Salah to me is somebody who was used by the NIS to be part of this. Aingie katika hii maneno. And I suspect maybe, maybe to infiltrate the ODM. And for some reason, to me, I just don't trust him. I think he has something to do with Raila's getting out of here. That's my view. I don't have evidence, but I suspect. He just doesn't make sense to me. Salah is not. You can't just come from nowhere. A few months ago, unakuona post picture. Actually, after Raila's death is when we started seeing pictures of him driving in a Rolls Royce with Raila in it. They're in a freaking luxurious hotel in Dubai. And we didn't know who you are. But as soon as Raila dies, now you have wads of cash, giving it out, dishing it out. You have your KICC thing going on. You want to run for a public office and you are the man. What's going on, Salah? What's really going on, Salah? Clean Black Sneakers, nice seeing you. Oh, I haven't seen you for a while. I am well, Clean Black Sneakers. I am so glad to see you. It's been a while. It's been a minute. Like Apple. Like the video so people can see. So, yeah. Like I'm saying, I know Shamaya has corrected me and said that Kalonzo, the propaganda, they haven't agreed on who is going to be the Ninio. But I will go ahead and just call it right now. If Uhuru Kenyatta endorses Kalonzo, it's game over. Everybody has to fall in line. Everybody on that opposition has to fall in line. Like I always explain to you, examine who's on the opposition. They're all Uhuru Kenyatta stooges. Raised, bought, sold, packaged by Uhuru Kenyatta. Who was Matiang'i? Matiang'i was a minister under Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta appointed him. Who is Gachagua? Gachagua was his personal assistant. Alikuwa mbochwa Uhuru Kenyatta, carrying his bag while he's walking. Ebu nishikie hii bia, nishikie hii pombe, nishikie personal assistant. What's this guy mtu wa Tawe? Tawe was working under Uhuru Kenyatta, appointed him sijui DO ama provincial commissioner somewhere in Trans Nzoia. Wamalwa, minister of sijui dini under Uhuru Kenyatta. Martha Karua voted for Uhuru Kenyatta to be the Mudhamaki in Limuru 3. Kalonzo Musyoka agreed to become Kibaki's vice president or whatever, in order to work with Uhuru Kenyatta hand to hand. So, like I say, all these people are working under Uhuru Kenyatta. They're all Uhuru stooges. All these people you call United Opposition. So when Uhuru backs Kalonzo and says Kalonzo is my man, everybody falls in line. Hakuna mtu atasema kitu wengine. Ndio maana unaona walienda Nigeria huko wa discuss ndio walete Rigiji akuja ashike laini. But like I told you, there was a reason why they went to Nigeria. It wasn't about Rigiji. Rigiji goes to Uhuru's Ishaweri every day to pay homage. So that wasn't about it. Blog his way to presidency. Who blog his way to presidency? Blog his way to the right. That was funny. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it is about, right now, it is about Ruto to work on Nyanza and Western and Coast to counter the Ukambani and Central votes. Because Ruto will get Northeastern. So uliona yule mzee alikuwa anazungumza juu ya Duale, anasema Duale ni mwizi. The next day alikuwa na press conference hapo akisema pole. Atakapatiana kadi yake ya DCP. I'm telling you. I know he didn't apologize. He wasn't apologizing from his heart. In fact, there was somebody who was talking on behalf. After he looked disinterested in the whole thing. But the point was made. What I'm trying to say is this. Ruto is trying to counter that Mount Kenya and Ukambani vote with Western, Luo, Northeastern, and Coast. If he bribes enough people from there to create the perception, I told you, Ruto does not have to win the election. He just has to create the perception that he is popular. That is why he held the new aspirants in State House yesterday. Wakina wa Muchomba wamesha rudi nyumbani. Why? His whole mission is to just create a perception that majority of Kenyans support him. It might not be true, and it's probably not true, but a perception is enough to justify the rigging that is going to take place in 2027 because IEBC is in his hand. In fact, is it the CEO of the president of the IEBC Ali resigned? Marjin. Did you guys hear about that? Murjin, who said that I don't want Kenyans to ban in my name. I can resign. The president of IEBC. Because he knows what's cooking over there. It's already a done deal. That's why I'm saying, hata kama mkidiscover the rigging took place in 2027, okay, mwende Supreme Court, na huyo mama wa Supreme Court aseme ati I'm holding up the decision by IBC ya kwamba Ruto ameshinda. What next? Mtaenda maandamano? Raila hayuko this time. Mtaanza vita? Hey, Kenya, we are not safe. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary. Thank you very much for listening. It's been 1 hour. Thank you so much, Gypsy Konya Shemaya. Thank you so much, Clean Black Sixers. It's been a while. I haven't seen you. And thank you so much, Martin and Mr. Studio. I forgot to say your name, but my thing is dying too, so I have to stop it here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Subscribe, share, like, comment, and share it with your friends. I'll talk to you guys. Peace and blessings, and enjoy your weekend. I'm out. Peace.